It was a part of the video that I originally recorded that I cut out, which is where I talked about how basically it's actually almost impossible to actually leave space. I mean, to actually leave Earth to go into space if you go by mainstream science. Like, pretty much, what I said was that me and my friend were having a conversation about how space is like a scam, how it's fake. And my friend believes that the Earth is round, but that most of what NASA says is like fake. But he still believes the solar system exists, which to me is a pretty rational belief. Like I think it's possible that space could exist, like at least the solar system could exist, but like nowhere else exists. Because I think that since it's plausibly possible to travel the solar system, given the apparent level of technology we have, and it's something you can see with the naked eye, I think it's totally possible that other planets could exist. Now, pretty much what my friend was saying that like pretty much that God made it, or like that we were not really allowed to leave the Earth. They were pretty much stuck on the Earth as like penance and stuff. And pretty much the way that we stuck on Earth, the way that God made it was this thing called the Van Allen radiation belt. Now, pretty much what it is it's this like belt of radiation that surrounds the Earth, so that if you go through it, so that you can't go through it without dying. And pretty much if you go through it, you're gonna die. Now, NASA says that they've gone to the moon, they're gonna send people to Mars, they've sent people to Mars, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. And this is and like all that kind of stuff. They send people to Mars, or like they are going to send people to the moon, space, whatever. They send people to space station regularly, but apparently you can't go through this Van Allen radiation belt without dying. So how can they go to the moon, like, but get through the Van Allen radiation belt without if they're not going to be like killed by this Van Allen radiation belt? It doesn't really make sense. The only possible way they could have gone to the moon is if they somehow radiation proofed their like I don't know, maybe a spaceship or something, or if they found another way to go to the moon, like they somehow teleported there, or they went through a Stargate or something. Like those are the only two possible ways, in my personal opinion, to get to the moon. Otherwise, they're just lying because this was apparently discovered afterwards, and NASA said, "Oh, we don't got the technology to go back." Well, if you had the technology to go to the moon, how did you lose the technology? We have way more advanced technology than we do now, because apparently it requires lots of very complex mathematical calculations to go to the moon, to make rockets, to leave Earth at the right time. Well, something we got today is we got computers, right, that can run really advanced code, that can make iPhones, that can make like we have like quantum supercomputers that can calculate like astronomical things really quickly, and we got AI, and we got like NASA says that they don't have technology to go back to the moon, but their technology that we have, the technology we have, the computer technology we have, like quantum computers and stuff, and Python and Java and the internet, we have like technology that's like thousands of times more advanced than the technology we had in the 60s. Yet apparently we don't have enough technology to go to the moon. We have enough technology to like monitor people's facial recognition, to make quantum computers, supercomputers. We have enough technology to make bullet trains that go the speed of the sound in Japan, right? Like we have trains that can go as fast as airplanes, and we have airplanes that can go from one side of the earth to another in like a few hours. Yet we don't have enough technology to leave space, even though like what we have today is probably like more advanced than what we used to have. Like that doesn't make any sense because it's like
Excuse me? Those fine men are astronauts. They can cut in line. They fought for our country.
There's your chance to prove you're a better liar than me. It must really eat you up inside to not be able to prove you're a better liar than me, 'cause you can't prove nothing.
You want me to prove I'm a better liar than you? Why don't we see who's better at lying? Whoever gets caught first loses. Excuse me, miss.
What?
We're astronauts.
Hey, baby, give me a grilled cheese deluxe and make it snappy, 'cause we're astronauts and we gotta get back up in space. Know what I'm saying?
One grilled cheese deluxe for the astronauts.
Yeah, it's great to meet a couple of real fellow astronauts.
Dude, you should quit right now. You're totally gonna get caught.
We'll see. Man, I don't think you could last much longer.
There've been some problems maintaining safe levels of... Actually, sir, I'm having trouble with...
Trouble? Well, these guys are experts. Can you lend a hand, fellas?
You gotta do it like this.
Captain Mordecai! Lieutenant Riggs! The antimatter is becoming unstable.
To is not a recording. We have a shortwave antenna on the roof and we are picking this up from a weather station in Germany live, and it's being pumped out on a... That was the first time anyone in Brooklyn Code Cycle School got to see one. That's what it looked like. It's later on the design it was made from, there was suddenly an influx of supply.
As I was saying, it's like people say they're like, you know, we don't have the technology to go to the moon, and we can somehow get through the Van Allen radiation belt, but we apparently can't now because this was discovered after the moon landing. They say we can't go to space because of that, but it's like, how were we able to go to the moon in the first place? That doesn't make sense and stuff. So pretty much they say we don't have the technology to go back to the moon, but the thing is, if we have the technology to go under the sea, to go to the bottom of the ocean, we have technology to fly halfway across the world faster than we used to. We have the technology to call someone from one side of the world to other. It's like you could be in China and someone else could be in Peru and you guys could like call instantly. And we got the power of like Wi-Fi, and we got the power of like nuclear bombs. We got the power to go 300 kilometers across Bolivian salt flats. We got the power to, like, I don't know, do all these really, really advanced things. and we can make drones and stuff. Like, we can make literal robots. Yeah, we don't. Like, yeah, we somehow don't have the technology to go back to the moon. That doesn't make any sense. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, this space stuff is a scam. Like, I think that if nothing else is proof that the moon landing was faked, and that what NASA says about space is nonsense. So yeah, that's like what I have to say. Like, what me and my friend were kind of talking about. Like, the next thing I want to say is that for people who say that Jesus Christ couldn't have walked the Americas, or done stuff outside of the Bible, like, people who fall for the hijack doctrine of, like, the Bible being infallible, biblical infallibility, nothing outside the Bible being infallible, like, that kind of nonsense. The Bible itself says that Jesus did more than, like, what the gospel says. In fact, in John, the Gospel of John, chapter 21, verse 25, it says this: "There are also many other things which Jesus did, which if they were all written, I suppose that even the world itself wouldn't have room for the books that would be written." So, like he could have totally done other stuff. Like, if he's supposed to be the Son of God, dying for our sins, and we're not gonna go to heaven, we're gonna go to hell if we don't believe in this guy and stuff. And, like, if you've never heard of, like, Christianity, you're born in an area where Christianity wasn't a thing, you're gonna go to hell. Well, if that's kind of true, then, well, wouldn't it make sense for Jesus to go halfway across the world to make sure everyone has a chance to learn Christianity so they don't go to hell for following the wrong religion? Like, I don't think you're gonna go to hell for following the wrong religion. Like, I think that's just something that was made up by the Romans when they hijacked Christianity. But if it is true, then it makes sense that Jesus would have gone across the whole world. Yeah, I think that there's quite a bit of other things that Jesus may have done during his time, and I definitely don't really believe that what we've been told about space is real. So yeah, that's all for this part of the video. I'll see you in the next part of the video. Now, something interesting that I thought of while making this video, while talking about how NASA was basically undersea, underwater organization and stuff. Something that's interesting was coming up was I realized that these astronauts, they apparently like to, I don't know, train underwater, because apparently being underwater is similar to being in space. By the way, this is how they could fake it, by making it, like editing it so that, well, this stuff is like looks like space. Because if you look at movie sets, originally they used to like being blue screens instead of green screens, so they could easily edit all this stuff to look like it's space, because they got millions of dollars, so why not, right? But anyway, something I was thinking of is that if these people are like underwater and stuff, that makes me think, what if, like, something else that's interesting is that the idea of space and water is actually more biblically connected than people realize. Because in the book of Genesis, it says that when God created the earth, that it was all water. And that God separated the waters and made it so there's water above the firmament, like above the sky, pretty much, the sky dome, and the waters below, so like below Sheol, below the earth. And look at this, right? There's the waters above, and there's the waters below on earth. And even the Catholics kind of believe that, because look at this. You know, the Catholics, they come with the whole idea, the whole doctrine of the Earth being round and the Big Bang and all that kind of stuff. But look at that. Even they came up with this idea. So even like the Catholics did, because this looks like a Catholic piece of art. Because like it depicts God as a dude, and it's like Protestants, they don't really depict God as like a man in the same way. So it's probably Catholic. Now, something else is interesting while we're on this topic is that a Jesuit came up with the idea of like the Big Bang. This Belgian Jesuit priest called Georges Lemaitre. I probably didn't pronounce it right, but that's completely okay and stuff. And it's like lots of Catholics, they came up, people don't realize this, but the Catholic Church, like the Jesuits and all that stuff, they're the ones who actually came up with the modern day ideas of space. You know, like the Jesuits, and also, you know, the Nazis, the people that Hitler supported. You know, there was lots of Jesuits who came up with modern disciplines. Like Angelo Secchi was an astrophysicist. The guy who reformed the Gregorian calendar, Christopher Clavius, and all those kind of things. And the people who invented things like the germ theory was invented by a Jesuit as well, and stuff like that. So, if you really want to look into who hijacked space, you should look at who like what Jesuits and Catholics came up with it. Like a while ago, I had this dream telling me the Catholic Church originated from this brotherhood, from a secret society called the Brotherhood of St. Peter. And if that's true, well, I think that the Jesuits may have came from that. I'm going to talk about this more on my other channel, my Dream channel. I have a Dream channel. If you look at my community posts and in my videos, you'll see a link to my Dream channel. Now, to get on to the next part, like, I said that this guy called Werner von Braun discovered space and all that stuff. Well, here's something that here's what his gravestone says. His gravestone quotes Psalms 19:1, and in Psalms 19:1 it says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." So, when this was written by King David or an anonymous author, all the Israelites believed that the waters were above our heavens, and that the waters were below our firmaments. Like, the waters were above our firmaments and below our earth. And he's saying that the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament shows handiwork. Well, the thing is, if Werner von Braun believed in space, why would he say something that implies that the earth is flat? Because look at this, right? This is a firmament. A firmament is a big dome. And it seems like there were other people who figured this out. There's other truthers who figured this out. I'm probably going to save this once I've finished screen recording this. And the guy who invented NASA, Werner von Braun, he was someone who worked for Hitler's Germany, you know, like Nazi Germany with Operation Paperclip. This isn't even a conspiracy. This is like a real thing. And it's like these people of Germany, of Nazi Germany, you know, they might have been secret society people. Because if you look at this, Hitler had this thing called an Iron Cross. And this looks like the Templar's cross of the Knights Templar. And the Templars, they were most likely the founders of Freemasonry. Look at this. Look how similar it looks to the Iron Cross. So, to get back to this, something that's very interesting is that the Bible is like the Israelites, the Bible, like, you know, the Old Testament is not the only person that describes the earth as having waters above and below, because if you look at this Hindu depiction of the world and stuff, there's a great ocean at the bottom of all the worlds. There's a great ocean, you know, Garbodaka, the great ocean. So it's like the Israelites, they believed there was a great ocean underneath, and guess what? The Indians thought so too. Like, check this out. There's a great deep. There's waters above the firmament. There's a heaven. And there's a foundation of the heaven and the earth and the firmament and the sky and the clouds, all that kind of stuff, the sea, etc., etc. And in Indian cosmology, the same thing, except there's apparently other parallel universes, or just universes. I don't really believe in parallel universes personally, but it's not impossible they could exist. Also, there's Mount Mero, Tapaloka, Brahmaluka, Janaluka, like, etc., etc. So, there's other. It seems like there's some kind of line up with the Hindu and biblical beliefs and Jewish beliefs, etc. But to get back to it, something that's very interesting is that, you know, NASA was founded by scientists from Hitler's Germany. They came up with the whole Darwinistic thing, the whole aliens thing. And as well, it's kind of interesting because the Germans, they tried to go to Antarctica and the Arctic to access this inner world called Agartha. In fact, they were so into Agartha that people think the idea of Agartha comes from Hitler's Germany. and all that kind of nonsense. But the truth is, it doesn't, because it's a Sanskrit word, so it comes from like the Indians and the Buddhists and the Hindus. So it's not really like a thing inspired by Hitler. It's just that Hitler and his people were really into it. Like even his fella Himmler was into it. And there was Antarctic exhibition in 1938, 1939, just before World War II began. Interestingly, there's lots of UFOs that look like Hitler's. They look like UFOs, like lots of like different spaceships that kind of look like UFOs and stuff. People say they don't exist, but I think they could exist. There's also Agatha. There's also ideas that Hitler and the Germans, they worked together with aliens and stuff. And there's also the Soviet book called The Book of Alien Races. Apparently this is from the KGB or from the Soviet Secret Service. Now, I don't know if this really came from the Soviet Union and Russia, but I remember reading this when I was a kid, and I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't agree with like what it says anymore about other planets. I don't think lots of these beings come from other planets, but I do think that it's possible that some of these do exist. So yeah, I think that's what's going on. Also there's like these. I don't remember who said it, but I think there was someone like moving to someone who said that like Hitler and the Germans kind of worked together with these beings, these Nordic aliens. It's interesting because I had a dream like in 2023 they revealed to me that these beings are actually these beings are actually fallen angels. Like these people are the same beings as the Watchers in the Book of Enoch. I will talk more about on my other channel, but apparently these Nordic aliens, these are fallen angels and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So all in all, I guess what I'm saying is that I think NASA took a lot of inspiration from the Bible, and I think that there's a very good chance that if space exists, it's kind of like the ocean. It's kind of like an above ocean. That's the real reason why we can't breathe it. It's not because there's no vacuum. It's because it's basically an ocean. And they say that like that for a vacuum to exist, it has to be with a contained seal. Well, what if there was a giant contained seal around space, kind of like a snow globe or something? There's also, if you see other sci-fi like things, like there's lots of these sci-fi beings, like sci-fi alien races that kind of look like sea creatures, and maybe that's because they know that space is kind of like an ocean. Like, there's this thing in Doctor Who called a star whale, which is like this floating being. It looks like a gas from Minecraft, floating around in space. And I'm kind of thinking, what if this is like based off a real thing in space? Like what if it turned out the space is kind of like the sea or something? Like, I don't think space is as big as they say it is, but if space exists, that's how I think it is. It's either that, or NASA was ripping off from biblical ideas, such as what was seen in the book of Genesis. So that's my personal opinion. You guys let me know what you think. Say during the screen recording was I was saying that that the reason why we have modern day space and all that kind of stuff is because of Nazi scientists from Nazi Germany, and it's like if you figure out that's kind of suspicious because it's like, wait a minute, I thought Hitler's Germany was supposed to be enemies. They did the Holocaust and killed all these people and did all these bad things. Yet our U.S. government that leads our democratic world and did a Marshall Plan to reconstruct Europe is now bringing in Nazi scientists to America to make an NASA. That's kind of suspicious. Well, I'm thinking, what if it turned out that there's more Nazi influence in America and in Europe than people realize, but it's kind of like it's not really Hitler's Germany anymore because people don't realize this, but there were lots of competing factions in Nazi Germany. Like, for example, there was Heinrich Himmler and the SS, and they wanted to do their own thing, while Hitler wanted to do his own thing. And it seems like a lot of these Nazi Germany members are part of secret societies. And it's like, I've even seen a prophetic dreamer who said that, like, fallen angels were trying to help out Nazi Germany. But the point is, What if Nazi Germany infiltrated America in the 60s, and the reason why we have such a messed up world today, why we have brain rot, why the sexual revolution happened, was all because of Nazi Germany. Like, everyone says it's because of the Jewish people that created the state of Israel, but my thing is, what if it turns out that the Nazis and the Jews were working together, and they just made up the Holocaust? Or like, no, they exaggerated the Holocaust, my bad, to make it seem like Nazi Germany was super against the Jewish people, but really they were just working together to make the sexual revolution, to make lots of TV, movie propaganda, and all that kind of stuff, It certainly could explain why there was so many, like, National Socialist, Hitler-supporting movements in America. Like, when beforehand, no one in America really supported Hitler. There weren't many people in America that supported Hitler. But after World War II, lots of people began to support Hitler. That's kind of suspicious. And there's always people on social media talking about trad wife stuff, alt-right, whatever, Hitler's Germany. What if they're kind of part of the reason behind it? And they're just like, they infiltrate the media too to play both sides. That's something I personally think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm Truth TV. I'm out. Peace.